Chanakya turns anger and insult into power. Dhanananda, the king of Pataliputra, was notorious for his avarice. After a failed assassination attempt on him that shook the empire, his ministers advised that the king had to do something urgently to prop up his sagging popularity. Like opportunist of an era, he decided that doling out gifts to people would be the best idea to shore up his reputation. He formed a committee for this purpose and put brothers had any clue about how to do the assigned task, as they had never executed these tasks themselves. They decided that they needed a learned man to head the council, and the king announced a handsome salary for an able man who could fill the role. Chanakya had graduated from Takshashila University at that time and was looking for suitable employment. When he heard about Dhanananda's offer, he decided to apply for the post. Though many warned him about the evil Nandas, he was poverty-stricken and desperate for a job. He traveled from Takshashila to Pataliputra, more than 2,000 kilometers by foot. By the time he reached his destination, he was covered in dust, and his only clothes were tatters. Chanakya did not look presentable because of the journey he had taken to reach the palace. Once there, he found that there were 7 seats before the king. In 6 of them, Dhanananda's brothers were sitting. The empty seat was reserved for the scholar that the king selected. Without seeking permission, given that he was tired, Chanakya took the designated seat. This enraged the king and his brothers. "You look ugly in your tattered clothes. You dare to sit in the chair meant for the head of scholars?" Dhanananda asked sarcastically. The brothers laughed and mocked the Brahmin. Chanakya, not one to take insult lying down, retorted with equal arrogance. "I'm confident there is no scholar who could match me in intelligence, scholarship, and wisdom. It hardly matters how I look, for I am not applying for a dancer's post in your harem. I hoped Maharajan has the wisdom to understand this. But from your words, I'm afraid neither you have the wisdom to know what is appropriate, nor do you have any intelligent ministers to guide you properly about the selection of an expert as the head of the council. With brothers like these, who will join you in baseless mockery and laughter, you will need no enemies to destroy you. You require an able counselor like me, Dhanananda." Dhanananda and his brothers were livid at this retort and felt insulted. The king barked at his guards, "Throw this arrogant Brahmin out of Patalaputra." The brothers, however, did not wait for the guards to carry out the order. The youngest of them caught Chanakya's tuft of hair and dragged him out. The remaining brothers showered blows and kicks on the poor Brahmin. They threw him out of the city and threatened to lynch him if he ever dared to set foot in Pataliputra again. They slammed the gate shut in his face. Some mean bystanders laughed at Chanakya's plight. The Brahmin stood up and looked at his clothes, which had become rags. He tore them off in a great anger, wearing only the Kupinama, a single cloth undergarment. He stood trembling with rage, facing the closed gates of Pataliputra. His top knot of his hair had come loose, and he vowed that he would never tie his hair until he destroyed Dhanananda and his brothers. He vowed he would find the king worthy of the throne of Pataliputra and walked away in his single cloth, his hair flying in the breeze and his eyes smoldering with rage. The spies who were watching him rushed to inform the king about the Brahman's vow, and Dhanananda ordered Chanakya's assassination. Chanakya knew he would be a hounded man, so he escaped Pataliputra by hiding with a group of naked Ajivika sannyasis. Chanakya would renew his vow every morning. He would face the sun and repeat his promise to destroy Dhanananda, fueling his rage. It became his obsession, and he thought of nothing but revenge every waking moment. He walked across the length and breadth of India in search of employment, in search of a king who would want a proper counselor willing to take on the mighty Dhanananda. But all his efforts were in vain. Word had spread, and no king was willing to give Chanakya a job for fear of inviting the wrath of Dhanananda. To assuage his disturbing mind, he had sought advice from many gurus. Some told him to give up the anger and said it would destroy him. Others said the word is not real and he should seek the ultimate reality. Some gurus were very practical and ruminated. What could a poor Brahmin do against a mighty king? They advised him to join some ashram and go away to some far-off land. Others advised him to go back to Takshashila and find employment as a teacher there. Many also asked him to renounce the world and take refuge in the forest as a mendicant. His guru in Takshashila sent repeated messages to him, warning him against the dangerous pursuit he was undertaking and how, if Dhananjaya's assassins did not get him, his own anger would kill him soon. He was advised meditation and yoga to curb his anger and calm his mind. He tried to follow some of this advice, but was always disturbed. His logical mind nagged him that he was wronged, and embers of anger were still burning in his heart. Deep inside him, a voice told him he should do something about this. Nothing was working. The more he tried to control and resist his anger, the more frustrated he grew. He wanted revenge and roamed from the Himalayas to the three seas, a madman desperately searching for allies. On one of the nights, as he walked through a village, ruminating about the situation that had unceremoniously left him in dire straits, a thorn pierced his naked feet. For a moment, he was despondent and thought, here I am, the most erudite scholar of Takshashila University, one of the most intelligent men in the world, and no one requires my service. I have been beaten and bruised like a common thief, and I am wandering like a beggar, naked and famished. When I thought nothing worse could happen to me, see what has transpired. Even a thorn does not spare me. How unlucky I am. Chanakya had such self-loathing thoughts, but the anger soon came back. pushing away despondency. Nothing cures dejection like rage. No, I will not give up. I have taken a vow. I will destroy all my enemies. He screamed at the full moon that seemed to be laughing at his plight. Tears wheeled in his eyes. With a rage bordering to insanity, he pulled the thorny bush out of soil. A part of the thorn was stuck in his feet. Like a possessed man, he went dragging the uprooted thorny bush. His hands were bleeding and he was sweating profusely, but his anger kept him going. He walked all through the early morning, dragging the thorny bush through the forest, roaring words of revenge. Wild animals scurried away as Chanakya threaded the jungle like a furious beast. After hours of walking, the Brahmin found the hut of a Chandali, a person who deals with the disposal of corpses. On the forest's edge, he pummeled the door with his fists in a hurry. She opened the door and was shocked to see the mad Brahmin, covered in dust and wearing only a loincloth, with his ritual knot of hair loose and his sacred thread covered in slime. I want embers. I want something to burn this, he boomed. The woman got flustered and trembled with fear. Would this Brahmin harm her? He looked angry and violent. The Chandali gathered courage and asked, "Why do you want embers at this hour, sir? Woman, can't you see that this thorny bush has dared to pierce my feet? I want to burn this now. Get me fire." She brought some embers from the heart of her courtyard. But try as she did, it was not kindling into a proper fire. Every time the cinders caught flame, a brisk wind would blow it out. Chanakya lost patience and shouted at her for the delay. The Chandali looked at him and said calmly, "Swami, please wait. Your impatience is making me do even the simplest things wrongly. How foolish of me not to bring the blowpoke." Saying this, she went inside, and Chanakya fumed the fritters outside, all the while trying precariously to fan the embers with his hands. The Chandali returned with a blowpoke, sat before the embers, and started blowing air through it. Suddenly, the embers crackled and a fire came alive. Chanakya hurriedly threw the thorny bush into the fire and watched it turn to ashes. Then he asked for water, and the Chandali hesitated at this strange request. A Brahmin would never ask for water from a Chandali. But when Chanakya demanded it again, she was scared and rushed to the well in the courtyard. She hurriedly drew water and gave him a pot. Chanakya mixed the ashes of the thorny bush in it and drank the concoction, declaring with each gulp, "I will destroy my enemies like this. There will not be even a trace of them after I have finished my job." Do you understand? Do you understand what I'm saying, woman? I will finish them. I repeat, I will destroy them completely. The woman was puzzled on seeing the Brahman's strange behavior. She said, "Swami, I understand you are angry, but I don't know why." Chanakya stared at her for a moment and told her the story of how he was insulted, how frustrated he was with his life, and about his burning thirst for revenge against the Nandas. The Chandali interrupted him and said, Swami, I am a simple woman from the village. I do not understand the scriptures or statecraft. I can see that you are angry, but your anger is like the wind that passes through a raging fire, yet is unable to extinguish it. A storm is of no use to anyone and is destructive. But the same air, when channeled through a blowpoke, makes the embers flame up in a trice. Chanakya paused his tirade. He stared at the woman. He had gotten the answer that eluded him. The Chandali had revealed a great truth that none of his gurus could. There was nothing wrong with anger. What he needed was a conduit. He needed a channel for his anger so that it angled with his purpose of destroying Dhanananda and his brothers. He understood that for a meaningful outcome, he needed his anger, but could not get overwhelmed by it. All the gurus were wrong, and all the gurus were right too. Uncontrolled anger would have destroyed him and driven him insane. Yet it was an exemplary tool when channeled by keeping a purpose in mind. In his anger, he was searching for a method to destroy Dhanananda. Instead of thinking about destruction, he should have thought about creation. He was searching for a king who would destroy the Nandas. Why not make it his life's mission to mold a suitable man to replace Dhanananda? Why was he not using the tremendous power of his anger to create what he wants? He understood that he could keep his anger alive, but it should not blow over like a quick storm, leaving a trail of destruction and uprooted buildings and trees. It should be controlled and focused like a blowpoke, funneling air. From that day onwards, Chanakya started seeking leadership qualities in people, irrespective of caste and creed. The one he picked would be the blowpoke for his anger, and together they would make a formidable team. How he was eventually successful in finding Chandragupta Maurya, how the Nandas were eliminated, and how it changed the history of India are all well known.